guys? Welcome back to the Monochrome Podcast. My name is JT. I'm hosting episode 4. Super excited. This is from the SALT community, and our mission is to encourage, equip, and inspire the creative and technical community serving in the local church, which is you. You guys are the ones wearing black in the background, hidden behind soundboards and LED walls and all that good stuff. I am joined today by our lovely SALT team. Hey. How are you guys doing today?
Oh man, JT, I know I am doing great. This is Caitlin here. I'm about to publish another book. I'm an author on the side, and you know, another. Every book you still feel just as excited for. So yes, another one. But I'm having a good day because it's time to publish more books.
Yeah, JT, I'm doing all right. You know, I'm keeping it together. I'm doing well. I'm not publishing any books at this moment, and currently do not have any in the works as well. So,
Keith, I would love to hear a book from you. I would love for you to do audiobooks just so I could listen to them all day, every day.
It would definitely have pop-up pictures and
the audio
spots for you to doodle.
The audiobook would have pop-up pictures.
That sounds like a terrifying concept.
Oh, you're talking about an audiobook. This is a totally different thing.
Active listening, Keith. After that, I'm doing great. I am freezing. It's a little bit colder here in Texas today. I'm the only SALT team member who lives in Texas, which means I'm the only one thriving and vibing off of Beyonce's new song, Texas Hold'em, bringing it back to her country Houston roots, and I couldn't be happier.
You're not the only SALT team member in Texas, though, currently right now, right?
Currently, that is correct. Joe Angel, one of our co-founders, is actually in the city I live in currently.
We're all doing well. Keith and I are the only ones that don't publish books, so we're obviously a little more depressed than everyone else. But
I'm not a published author yet. Calm down.
You're close, though, which is exciting. So
a lot closer than
we're jumping into our SALT News segment. This one is pretty interesting. I'm excited to bring it. It kind of ties in a little bit with what we've talking about in the previous episodes as well. So it's kind of a continuation of those conversations, but I'll give it to you straight. Meta and other platforms like Adobe and Microsoft are basically going to start labeling AI generated media. So Adobe actually kind of started this last year already with a little icon that I think maybe you had the option of adding to AI generated content, but Meta is saying they're actually going to find AI generated content on their platforms and then watermark it, or they might potentially pull the posts down. So that is very interesting because for a lot of reasons, but they're partnering with Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Adobe, Midjourney, and Shutterstock. And even you might be thinking, well, I'll just change the metadata and then they won't know that the picture is from AI. But they're saying that they're actually going to be able to detect the photos and videos even with the altered metadata. So
this is huge.
Yes, this is.
I don't think people understand. This is a huge deal.
This is a huge shift. I think. So here, I'll give a few more details and I'll get into what I think and we can discuss. But I think it's a good thing. It means if you use AI for photos and video, they will detect it, and you need to disclose. I would assume in your caption or in the description of the video that you used AI to create it and what AI you used to create it. I don't know if this is going to work as far as writing goes, because I know a lot, like ChatGPT is a big tool with creative writing. And so I don't know if they will make you disclose the actual text itself. But as far as the imagery and the video, that's definitely coming soon. So I think this is a good thing. I think in many ways it will help with the controversy of using AI. But as we all know, Photoshop users and stuff, I'm curious how accurate it is and how specific it is, because you could go in and use Firefly to change, the patch on someone's shirt to make the shirt all black so that it doesn't have a logo on it, or change a very small aspect of the image. And does that mean it's now an AI image and you need to disclose that? I don't know. I'm curious to see what that looks like. So what do you guys think about this?
I'm interested for when it definitely hits for the content side of things. I think so many churches have done a great job, actually, of tapping into AI to help write blog content and help do social media posting, especially those churches where people are wearing like 10 different hats. You know, ChatGPT and other AI generators have been so helpful in taking some of that workload off. But if that means things are now going to be flagged or marked, you know, that maybe is putting some workload back on those church employees. But at the same time, it allows people like me who are writers or other creators, you know, illustrators, artists, to not have AI take over our jobs nearly as bad, because I think our newer generation wants authenticity and AI has been taking that away.
Yeah, I think I misinterpreted this initially when you brought it up. Like, I thought to myself, all right, because I had not heard about this news. Is the motivation here people that are using AI to make themselves look far more beautiful than they actually are, and they want to watermark and flag this content so that people are able to see it and say that's not the actual picture of beauty because this person doesn't actually look that good. This has been enhanced with the use of AI or something like that. Because I know everyone's got that friend on their follower list that posts like 6 photos in a row of them, like, this is me medieval times and this is me when I was like a colonial soldier, and
everyone has that friend.
I don't have that friend.
I don't have that friend. I've got that.
I have that.
I've got
friend.
2 of those
Keith
friends,
friend.
and
well, it was a trend for a while too. Yeah,
one of those friends of the 2 that's done it has held on to that trend far too long. I think it's definitely time for an intervention. But I guess that's the way that I initially kind of interpreted you sharing that. But what we're actually talking about is just basic content and the authenticity of that content, so that people can't say that they've created art that they really truly didn't. They just instructed AI to do so.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, it might be both, and it doesn't say in the article that I read if it's been touched with AI at all, or if it's a purely AI generated piece of content. I think that'll be interesting to see, like, where the threshold is, because AI is so ingrained in everything already, and it's only been like a year and a half of this, and it's already such a huge part of everything, every creative thing that we do. So if AI was used at all, does that mean we have to tag it as AI, or is it only for the purely like thoroughbred AI content that's been put out there that needs to be labeled and will be taken down if you don't, mark it as such?
Well, I know TikTok already has a toggle button where if your post or your content you're about to post was majority, and I read like the fine print with it, if it was the majority of it was created using AI, you have to toggle this on. But I think the driving force behind it is really with election year coming up. And I'll just say this, we don't get very political on this podcast. Don't worry. Don't let that be a red flag. But with election year coming up here in America, a lot of people are, I think, wanting to regulate how AI is used so that people can't lead others astray by writing up or creating fake photos, fake videos, maybe fake written content. I'm not sure. So that is really going to be there to help make sure that there's not a lot of just lies being spread through computer generated stuff.
This makes total sense now.
Photoshop can still do it. And there are some like driving factors behind it. Yeah.
This is like the first time I've heard about this. JT, so I'm glad that this is the news, because it's like news to me as we're talking about it. You heard it here first. I heard it here first.
Yeah, that's right. Breaking news we're becoming a news team instead of a creative team.
It's actually so interesting. If you've listened at all to any of our podcasts, it's not new to you that I am anti-AI. And so when JT's like, it's already so ingrained in everything we do, and I'm like, I intentionally do not ingrain it in anything. I think I just don't love it for so many reasons, and that's a whole other episode. But I'm really pretty conflicted on this. As someone who is anti-AI, but also who is an artist, I like the fact that they're like flagging it. I am interested to see the threshold, but it also concerns me of how much control that gives companies like Adobe, companies like Google to like flag a post, flag a blog, how much they can search the word and be like, oh, this was AI. We believe this was AI. Because how much have we seen that already on socials where it's like this post may be, I don't know the verbiage they use.
Fact checked.
Yes, fact checked. And sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah, AI checked.
Yeah. And so what if the AI check is wrong and really it's just flagging something that was edited in Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever? So I'm pretty conflicted on this. It's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I definitely hope it slows AI down. Like, I hope people use it less because things get flagged.
I think I was talking to, or actually listening to an interview, which hopefully we'll feature later, with Mark McDonald, but he was saying he thinks like AI coming into the church means there'll be a lot more noise, there'll be a lot more stuff out there. And so I think it's interesting that I had just listened and edited that, and then this came out, because I think in a lot of ways it'll kind of reduce the noise in a lot of ways. But then again, I think, like Kaylee, you were saying, there will be unintended consequences. Like, I don't know, for example, does this mean that it's copyrighted by whoever is the AI provider is, or is it still the owner, is the prompter, the writer of it, the creator or ideator for this, who just put it in the AI? Do they own it? They just can't post it. So it kind of comes into a little bit of that copyright stuff too, of like, do you own what you create using AI, or does the AI software developer own it?
That's so good. That's a great point.
Yeah, lots to think about there.
So I think in the church, how this impacts us is, and we've talked about this before in other forums, but we're called to be above reproach. And we're called, I think, also as the church to set the trends for creativity. So I think transparency is always a good thing, even though there will be probably some things that come out of this that aren't always good. But I think it pushes us to be more authentic creators, and to be, all you have to do is disclose that you've used AI in it, and then your post will stay up. And so I think it's important to keep in mind that we don't want to try to get away with things. We want to be like clear and honest about our creativity and where that comes from. So
preach.
The link to the article will be in the notes. So if you want to read more about that, you absolutely can, and check that out. But next, we're going to go on to our Listening Now segment. I think this is the first time we've done this segment, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah,
so
I think it is. Yep.
This is a quick little segment where we talk about what we're listening to, what's on your playlist. It could be a video, a new album, but it's just kind of to help us expose each other and other people to some cool art. And so this episode, we're going to hear from Caitlin. Caitlin, what have you been listening to lately?
Yeah. Oh, summer is coming. And with summer, I always think of one band, and that is Johnny Swim. They have been around for about 10 years, maybe a little more, but I'm always shocked by the number of people who have not heard of them. So I will shout their name from the rooftops, Johnny Swim. Absolutely love them. They are actually celebrating a 10-year anniversary of their first album called Diamond. So it's like the Diamonds anniversary tour. But this is a married couple, Abner Ramirez and Amanda Sudano. They are so much fun, you guys. I can't even tell you. They are a blast. And not only like if you follow them on social media, but their music is fun. Their lyrics are insanely heartfelt. Like hearing them talk about how they wrote these songs and the stories behind them. We have one song in my family we almost cry to every time we hear it because it just means so much to us. But then, they also have the music that is just fun and makes me think of summer and sunshine and beaches, and it's awesome. But they are doing a little bit of a tour. I don't know the full deal yet. They've released 2 locations that they're doing kind of this anniversary tour stop. One is at the Ryman Auditorium here in Nashville, Tennessee. So whether you want to travel to hear Johnny Swim, or maybe you're a Nashville native with us and some of us here at the SALT team, check them out. April 29th, Johnny Swim will be at the Ryman at 7:30 p.m. But man, you guys, they are great. They're like good friends with Chip and Joanna Gaines from Magnolia and Fixer Upper.
Well,
they kind of got their start there.
If Chip and Joanna are in,
right?
I am in.
If you know the show Fixer Upper, the theme song Home, that's their song. That's Johnny Swim. And then I guess like she would always have them come over for like Chip's birthday and do like a big special kind of ends the episode kind of party with them singing. Tons of fun. But yeah, go check out Johnny Swim. That is what I'm listening to now. That is on my playlist.
Listen, if you've never been to SALT Conference, it's okay because we've got another one this year. But SALT 2023 was just a life-changing experience. For me, it was my first SALT conference. I enjoyed the mess out of it. And one of the great things about it were the just unbelievable keynote speakers. One of those speakers was Brad Montague, who who kind of stepped aside for a moment and gave us some more time, where Luke McElroy interviewed him on the question of how he finds inspiration. Now, if you don't know who Brad Montague is, he's the producer of Kid President. He has been on Magnolia with Chip and Joanna Gaines. We've plugged them twice now.
Well, hey there.
And he is a children's book author. So he has done...
Hashtag sponsor us, HGTV.
Exactly. He has done so many amazingly, just purely creative projects. And so I don't know about you, but I'm interested to hear what his answer is to this question. How does Brad Montague find inspiration? Take a listen.
All right, I am standing here with Brad Montague. He is speaking this year at SALT Conference. So grateful that you're here.
To be here.
You are maybe one of the most imaginative, creative humans I know. And so
That's an honor coming from you. I'm at this thing. I mean, I was in the hotel lobby this morning before getting here, and I heard conversations about T.S. Eliot and early 90s CCM music. People are talking about all sorts of... I was like, these have to be SALT people.
Yeah,
These are our people. These are SALT. Like, oh, yeah, they're talking about creative stuff, art and worship. And it's like, yeah.
But what I love is that not only are you kind of living in this like amazing sphere of kind of always tinkering, always kind of on the front lines, you also have a really good way of kind of helping us practically go, what is the next step? So what would you say to someone who goes, Brad, I wish I could increase my imagination. I wish I could increase my creativity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess that's one of the things a lot of people will do. They'll be like, oh, you're so creative. I wish I could do that. I'm going, you did. You got dressed today, right? Like you thought of something to do. You filled your day, your calendar. I think what people long for is having that purpose, vision, clarity to bring something to life that maybe wasn't before, to add some sort of, to order off menu of life, to go, they feel like, okay, there's the menu. It's dangerous to go off menu and say, well, what if this existed?
Yeah.
What if there was a conference that existed? What if this happened? Because it is scary to go out. I love reminding people how many ways they already are creative. How many ways they already are doing that. And the more you recognize it, the more you celebrate it, and the more you go, oh, I can do this. My mother-in-law is one of those people. She's like, oh, I'm not creative. And then she'll sew an entire dress for a baby doll and a tiny mouse and and she's like, oh, I could never get up in front of people and talk. And then she'll say the most encouraging thing to somebody. And it's just that she's placing her idea of what creativity is as this loud, colorful, on a stage thing, when it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
And so I think the most creative things are happening all the time around us. And what an artist does is they recognize it and they play with it.
I love it.
And they say, oh yeah, let's do that. Oh, you're doing that? Let's add to it.
So if creativity is a muscle, what you're saying is find that muscle in the everyday that you're living, where is it that you're dreaming? Where is it that you're crafting? Where is it that you're putting something together? And then try and continue to flourish that.
Yes, to work it, to be thinking about how you can engage with life in a way that adds more life.
I love it.
Like that's what, and it's not just doing it to force yourself to be creative. It's actively trying to recognize ways you can add more life to your life.
Yeah.
So a lot of people find that they become more creative in certain zones. Like they have a space where maybe it's in presentation or in writing or in some of those sort of categories we put as art. But I think my favorite creatives are people whose life is an art.
Oh yeah.
Who like found a way to make every single day some sort of creative pursuits.
Yeah.
Where they're actively engaging with life.
I think you embody that so well, because I think every time, even when we were talking about you coming here, you were like, oh, I want to be fresh. I want to do something new. Right. Like, I think that gives us energy that it's not going to be the same old. It's not the same talk you've always given. It's like, no, I want this to be fresh. I want it to be relevant. Where do you find inspiration? Where do you go to sort of fill up your inspiration tank?
I have I've found that for a long time, I felt weird about thinking, oh, I really resonate with this. Oh, I like this. I'm a fan of this. Because I'm a fan of so many things, whether it be media or a certain type of tree or a type of dog or an activity. And I've started to recognize that those are ways in which you recognize that you're resonating with it. Your antennae are up, and you might see a color, you might see an outfit, you might hear a sound. And when you love it, or it speaks to you in some way, think of like you don't have to write it down or I'm not trying to give people homework. Yeah. But do try to recognize those things that speak to you, because somehow it's you recognizing this is a part of what makes my soul sing.
I love it. Yeah.
And what you're going to find is that those things will not seem like they belong at the table together. Yeah. It's not going to be like, oh, this makes sense. I like that. It's going to be a bunch of odd stuff, and you're going, this doesn't make sense. But then when you start to recognize that, oh, I like this and some of this, like for instance, when I put together a presentation, it's drawn from lots of places. It's not just me going, oh, I'm going to do a talk the way that Malcolm Gladwell did a talk. Yeah. Is that Malcolm Gladwell is what he's doing from all over these places. Yeah. So I'm pulling from literature. I'm pulling from what I saw in a classroom in a fourth grade school. I'm pulling from sounds and bringing that to the table and going, here's what I found that I love.
I love that.
Because I think what we love is who we are.
Yeah, totally.
When you want to know who somebody is.
When you see something beautiful or wondrous, you want to sort of capture that and remember it, and then kind of create that beauty again.
Yes,
maybe a different way.
Yes, there's that old saying that I don't know who said it. But one of your viewers will know, because they're these people. They're brilliant. It's that great art makes us nostalgic for God. That there's something about when we see something truly beautiful, something that speaks to us, that hits our soul at a deep level. We don't have the words for it. It somehow it makes us nostalgic for the divine. And that sounds very maybe woo-woo to some, but it's true. Yeah, it's a thing that
we see the creator of creativity in the most beautiful works of art. Yeah.
You know, my dad is not an art person at all. He's a farmer. He's lived on a farm for years. I grew up on that farm, but I've seen him engage with beauty and feel awe. Yeah. And have this want to express it, but can't tell you about what he saw in nature. And I've seen him meet beauty face to face and then try to explain it. And sometimes there's not words, and that's the point. And so you express it in other ways. For him, it's continuing to show up and put things in the ground.
I love it. And he gets to see beauty of life getting birthed and plants. Yeah.
For me, it's drawing birds. Yeah. Drawing comics.
It's a little similar.
Yeah, something there.
As we're here this year celebrating 10 years of a conference, we've kind of had a chance to look back, but I really feel this call, Brad, to look ahead. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious where you are in your current sphere. What are you seeing on the frontier of creativity? What are you seeing as you kind of look forward and ahead, maybe another 10 years or whatever? What are we doing now that gets you really excited about the future as it pertains to creativity?
Yeah. Well, so you said the word future, which is something that perks my antenna up, that I get excited about, because for a long time, whenever we made movies about the future or told stories about the future, it's dark and dystopian. And it's like Mad Max, we're all crashing into each other in cars and yelling and fighting.
Aliens
for resources.
Are coming down.
Yeah, it's disaster, fiasco. And one of the things that I'm seeing and learning over and over again is that the stories we tell create the world we live in. They can, and they do. And that stories are sacred. There's a reason why Jesus told stories. There's a reason that they furnish our imaginations. They nourish our imaginations. They fill it with possibility. And so we have this importance to tell stories of the future we want to see.
And to curate the right stories.
Yes. And a lot of, I've worked with different people who create things for children, like Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and they even realize this, that they've seen in their own work that, we created this and this created this moment in culture. And there's a great gift you have when you create something that you then create a new possibility as well. Did you know that when the movie Beethoven came out, you know the movie Beethoven? It's not about the musician, but the dog. That movie comes out in theaters. That same year, St. Bernards were like topping the charts. Everybody wanted St. Bernard.
The story you tell creates the world you live in.
The Hunger Games, all of a sudden there's like this jump in archery and females getting in archery. And what's happening? Somebody told a story and those are examples of, they didn't create Beethoven. It wasn't they
didn't create the St. Bernard.
It wasn't like big dog industry going, let's get St. Bernards out there. That was an outcome of that was unexpected, but it happened. There's unexpected outcomes to some of the stories we tell. So we want to be careful not to we're not creating propaganda. We're not just saying this is exactly.
Don't start with the outcome.
No, but we are creating from a longing that we want something better. We want there to be beauty in the world, that's our protest. There's the way things are, but here's the way things could be. I think the more we present that, whether it's to children or to former children, it begins to create that.
So on the flip side, what about what we're stepping in right now or in the future as you look ahead kind of worries you? You're throwing up a yellow flag. You're going, hey, let's heat a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody would say AI, the robots, all this, but that speaks to what I'm fearful of, and it's our fear that I see us being fueled by fear, and even myself. And that is not a healthy place to operate from as a person or as an artist. Great art can be created out of any circumstance, but those fuels burn not as long as joy and hope and love.
We had a SALT speaker actually say that scientifically in your brain, imagination is the antithesis of fear. So if you're standing in a fearful moment, if at all possible, try to imagine something, try to create or to wonder, because it literally takes you out of the present reality and starts making what could be the future.
Yes. That's what, I have this book that's the Fantastic Bureau of Imagination. And what's been so fun about that is going into classrooms in different places and basically tapping kids on the shoulder and going, hey, you're an agent. You can imagine anything. Go. And you'll see their posture totally change. It'll go from, we're at school, or, yes, okay. And they start drawing, here's what the city's going to look like. Here's what our world's going to look like. Here's, I want to create something. I want to imagine that our physical posture changes, our eyes light up. There's a great need to imagine better. How we imagine affects how we love, how I see you, how I see the people who live next to me. And so imagination is kind of been seen as childish and for the kids' table. But maybe we're being called to be more like kids.
I love it. I hope you understand how much his heart is resonating with our heart of just saying, let's ignite something in culture by telling beautiful stories and sort of reflecting the beauty that's within us. Brad is an amazing children's book writer, amazing creator of amazing ideas. And so if you want to follow him more, where can they connect with you?
At Brad Montague, most everywhere. So you just have to spell it.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad, for being with us.
Thank you. It's so good.
If you've enjoyed the special guests here on the Monochrome Podcast, then you need to go check out the Road to Salt webinar season. This year, 2024, we are featuring 4 different series, each with 3 episodes, full of practical teaching and training that you can implement right away after the webinar is over. You'll also be joined by us, the SALT team, interacting with you and other community members throughout each episode. So go check out the Road to SALT webinar. Link is in the show notes. What a great word from Brad Montague. I love his just heart for creativity. And it's funny, I'm actually behind the camera in that interview, and my wife was there at SALT with our little baby. And when Brad was walking back to the interview room, he came and stopped and said hi to us very briefly. And she was in the middle of playing on her Switch. She was playing the new Harry Potter game. And so he stopped and spoke to her, and they chatted about playing Nintendo Switch. And so I just thought it was funny that he knew what she was talking about. He knew the Nintendo Switch. He's just such a child at heart, and I love that about him. Next up, we have our sweet Grainy Filter, Kaylee.
I love that you just called me Grainy Filter. For those of you who don't know, I throw grainy filters over everything. I'm a photographer outside of SALT as well. And I love a heavy grain. Listen, if you love a heavy grain, I need you to tag us in your heavy grain photos and hashtag SALT heavy grain, because I need to be defended in this. And if you never have, this is not the creative challenge, but try something new and throw some heavy grain on your photos, which is great because the creative challenge of the week is to try something new. So this probably on surface level doesn't seem very creative. I have been meeting with a counselor every week, and he told me to break through my creative barrier, my writer's block, is to try something new. He said you cannot be in your brain while doing something new because you have to be focusing on what you're doing. It's also a great way to break up monotony. So for me, I drive to work the same way every day. I typically go to the same places for lunch if I eat out. And so for me, sometimes it's ordering a different coffee. I'm a lavender latte girly, and today I instead got a mocha. So try something new. Try a new coffee, try a new colored pen, try throwing grain on your photos or not putting grain on your photos if you're a photographer. And tag us in it. We want to see it at hashtag SALT Creative Challenge.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I will be putting grain on my photos because I'm not grainy. And what do they call it? Granola, like Kaylee is.
I don't think grainy and granola are the same.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. That concludes this podcast episode 4. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to learn more about the Monochrome Podcast, subscribe to our email list so that you never miss an episode, or just learn more about the SALT community. Make sure to visit themonochromepodcast.com. The link is also in the show notes. Also, make sure to subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to the podcast, so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much, and we'll see you again next week.
Each year, SALT hosts the Creative Conference for the church. It's a chance to be equipped, inspired, and connected with others who do what you do, and in person. With inspiring main stage sessions, practical workshops, and so much more, like delicious food trucks and creative art installments, we want you to join us. So check out salt2024.com for details and to get your tickets.